So we're holding the club a little bit further down, but we're keeping everything turning together, and we're getting this bounce by using the chest there. So that's my guide, that's my consistency benchmark. And then I just play the shot. It pops up. People often get like this, and they just use the hands to sort of maintain this. That's not giving you the feel, that's giving you tension, which is a killer. And we're trying to keep the chest, everything moving together. Got the address down. We've got a little tweak about raising the heel that you can see in another video. But one of the most simple kind of feel techniques that you can have to get a bit more consistency, no matter where you're hitting from, is to maintain this triangle. What you see in my setup, if I get everything kind of angled correctly, I'm forming an approximate triangle here with the club and the forearms, okay? And all we're trying to do is keep that intact. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm very rigid like this, because that's not going to give us much feel. But if we are keeping this intact, and it's not just the arms, okay, we don't want that. The difference, you might not be able to see too much on camera, but the difference between just moving the arms and then keeping the chest together with the arms, so it's everything almost in, like there's an imaginary cord from the chest here, or the mic that you see, all the way down to the butt of the club. If that's keeping in the same place, more or less, keeping the same distance, and everything's moving together as one, that's the key. So it's not just maintaining a triangle that you might have read, because people often get like this, and they just use the hands to sort of maintain this. That's not giving you the feel, that's giving you tension, which is a killer to consistency, all right? So we want to feel relaxed, but we want the larger muscles to be doing the work for us, feeling the weight of the club. So as you set up, okay, hands a little bit ahead of the ball, which is fine, but we just maintain this triangle and keep the shoulders moving with the chest and the hands and the arms, and just let the club follow that path. So simple, there's not much going on here. Even out of rough, okay, let's say we play out of this shot a little bit further uphill, the same principle, all right? I've got to make some adjustments for the lie. I've got to understand where do I want this ball to go. However, have got the principles the same. I want my shoulders to be as level as possible with the slope that I'm following, so it's a bit more on the upslope, but I'm maintaining this triangle by using the chest. By using the chest there. So that's my guide, that's my consistency benchmark. And then I just play the shot, it pops up, and the result is pretty good. Doesn't matter what club, doesn't matter what the distance is. Let's say we go a little bit further, okay? Let's come this way. All right, we're not out the thick rough here. It's kind of a weird little fescue kind of grass or something. It's the same technique. All I'm allowing is a little bit of wrist movement, a little bit of lolling of the wrist here, a bit of feel, so I'm not sort of stopping here. I'm allowing just a little bit of movement that way to generate that speed. But the setup is very similar. The technique is the same, just a little bit longer. And we get the consistent strike that you need. That's it, because once you've got that baseline, once you've got that benchmark, you are going to be more confident, no matter what club, no matter what shot. Just learn that one principle. Keep the sternum moving, keeping that triangle intact, but keeping the chest, the core, everything working together, okay? Here is a slightly more advanced, so this is why it's kind of at the end of the series, ways to practice to really develop your technique and feel. It's not easy, but it's simple, and if you can get this right, it's going to give you, better control, which is what we want. What we're looking at is practicing with the left arm only and the right arm only. What that's doing is, because there's two elements. Yes, we've got two arms generally, you know, both hands on the club, but they are, even though we want them to sort of work in unison, they've got different feels. It's opposing forces. One is sort of pulling, one is pushing. So we want to try and find that balance, and to refine that balance, we can do a couple of drills. One is definitely harder, and it's even harder for me, but it's the left hand only. What we're going to do is make sure that we're staying connected up here, because we don't want to just be pushing it like so, because when people try this drill, they sort of do something like that and kind of, yeah, I got a decent strike, but it's not the ideal choice. What we want, again, is to maintain this imaginary triangle, keep the chest moving, and we're just turning through. If you want to put your hand in your pocket, your back pocket, whatever it might be, grip down the shaft a little bit and just maintain this connection. And what you'll find is you have to really feel the weight of the club. And if you have to feel it sort of passing a little bit here, this is like where the bounce comes in. We're bouncing the club off the bottom of the turf here. So we're holding the club a little bit further down, but we're keeping everything turning together, and we're getting this bounce. I caught the ground a little bit below on that first one, but it's that striking the turf, and we want that to be happening consistently and controlled. I want you to practice this. You've had a few practice swings. Get the weight over the left side, and for balance, just put the hand behind here and just practice some shots and see what kind of strike you get. See how confident you can get with it. And likewise, when we're doing with the right hand, it's the same principle, but we're keeping the firmness, we're keeping the elbow pointing up, the right arm pretty straight, but it's being guided by the chest. And we want that consistency there, striking the ground. And we practice the same, left arm behind, and we're trying to keep the chest, everything moving together. You can try it with different clubs as well. It's a bit more difficult with a sand iron, but if you're trying it with just, say, an 8 iron, make sure that you are gripping down it a little bit, okay? And I caught that a little bit thin because it's a little bit difficult, but the same with the right hand. Just keep it moving forward, all right? Keep that chest moving forward, be consistent with it, and practice. The left, the right, and then when it comes to using both hands, one thing, it feels a lot easier, but you've developed the feel, the pulling, the pushing, the balance, the unison that is required to keep the chest moving, to control that distance, and to get that strike dialed in. Simple, but not always easy.